What's going on, con folks out there? Loving the new intro. And you guys are watching or listening to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast, episode number 70. I'm Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool. I'm going to be your host. I'm joined by three of my co hosts right here today. So, Happy New Year to you guys, since this is the first podcast of the year for you guys. Making his Game and Watch podcast debut, we got Ryan, aka Inward Games. How you doing?
How's it going? I'm doing great.
And we'd like to welcome back to the show Logan, aka Crunchy Chomp. How you doing, my man?
Yay, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Happy New Year, my man. And then Matt Bliss is back with us, the teacher. How you doing, Matt?
Not too bad. I do take on a lot of roles. I understand why you struggle to find which one to land on every time you introduce me. The teacher. I like that.
The teacher, Matt, or Matt the teacher. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I
Come
mean, you
learn
do.
with me.
Yeah, definitely. He has another podcast, the Teaching Culture Cast. So definitely check that out if you guys are in the education field. You can learn a lot from him. Trust me. All right. Just a small reminder that the Game and Watch podcast is an RU Gaming or OVG production. For your viewing pleasure, we stream on Facebook Live, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. For your listening pleasure, we're on all listening platforms wherever you listen to your podcast. Oh, and by the way, we have a Patreon. Anything donated to our Patreon will make this a better show for all of us. That you being the listener or watcher, and us as hosts. So definitely support us on Patreon. And links to wherever you want to find us will be in the video description or the show notes. So definitely follow us on all our social media platforms that we are on. So before we get into it, we will be getting into the PlayStation VR2 and our NFTs taking over gaming. That's going to be part of our main discussion today. But before we get into all that, Happy New Year, folks. The floor is yours. How y'all doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah,
So far, so
excited
Bring
good.
my
for
poppers.
hopefully not a bad year.
All right, that's good. How's y'all's week's been? Well, what's new? What's new in the world of whatever y'all do outside of games?
I've been having a pretty good week. I just traded my old Switch for a Switch OLED, so that's very exciting.
Okay.
I am
Mm-hmm.
loving it so far. That's a good
My
week for me.
That
nice.
sounds
That's cool.
good.
My guitar ensemble group just got back together after break, so that's been fun.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I didn't have enough to do, so I thought I'd try that brand new thing of Omicron.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
sorry, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought we'd start off with a downer and then work our way upwards. But no, look, it's not an uncommon story these days. Everyone gets it somehow. And
Somehow, some way.
yeah, and it's impossible to figure out exactly where or how it would have happened because just the volume of how things are happening makes it impossible to track these days. But lucky for me, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Understanding that for some people it is. Obviously, still stay safe, keep wearing a mask, all that good stuff. But yeah, that was my week, really.
Yeah.
I'm
how
on
are
the
you
tail
feeling?
end of
Yeah. How
yeah,
are
a
you
lot better,
feeling?
a lot better.
Okay.
It hit
Yeah.
pretty hard. It kind of felt like the experience you get when you first get the vaccination. Well, I guess depending on which vaccination you get, that really intense period of illness as a reaction to it, and then you start gradually healing over time. It has taken the entire week, and that's the length of the isolation period in Australia, so it's worked out fine. Um, but yeah, not a fun time at the start, but you just gradually get back to where you were.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Well, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, Matt. Hopefully you are feeling well. You sound better. I mean, you don't sound like you're ill at all. I mean,
no.
yeah.
Well, it is a respiratory thing, so there was a little bit of action on the throat. I'm really hoping it's going to
uh,
lend me into a bit of a deeper voice that's a bit more suited for voiceover. Looking at the
Silver
positive
lining.
side,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, well, I'm glad that you're safe. Sounds like you're gonna beat this thing, and I mean, just a reminder, folks. Just whatever y'all doing, just do your best to stay safe out there. It's the thing is spreading around. So I mean, I want my friends, family, of course, my podcast colleagues, all be safe also. So definitely just do what you guys gotta do to be safe, and just be careful out there, really. All right, so let's get into the gaming news call out. So let's start with I guess the rumor it is. I usually don't start the show off with rumors, but this was very intriguing. But I had to do this. Mario Kart 9. Apparently, it is in development, and uh, let's see. All right, all right, here we go. Yeah, Mario Kart 9. So yeah, pretty much, it is in development, and it will have a new racing twist from what the developer is saying. Let's see. From, I guess a Nintendo representative said, "I am aware Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still selling very well on the Nintendo Switch, but Mario Kart 9 is in active development." So their next entry in the franchise, they are saying that it's going to be coming out sometime this year, and it's going to have a new racing mechanic, kind of similar to either Double Dash or what they use in the current Mario Kart game, which is the gravity feature. Uh, I mean, I don't know what to
There's
think of this.
not a lot of new information here, right?
Right.
Or anything we would expect. Like,
And obviously, it's going to be in development, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
If they say it's in development, but
It's sold. The last one
is
sold
it?
40 million copies. Like, I'm sure 9's been in development for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, well, my thing is, does with the Mario Kart 9, do they really need to put it out? Because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just booming. Like it's 40 million.
I mean,
Um,
I would like a new Mario Kart to play. I mean, Mario Kart 8 has been out for a long time. I don't actually know what year released, but I don't know. I'm excited for a new Mario Kart.
Yeah, because it was originally Wii U. I didn't have it for that, but it was like one of the first games I got when I first got a Switch. So I definitely would like a refresh.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really play it on the Wii U. Maybe I played it like when I demoed the Wii U, but I mean, for me, it's just I got it on the Switch. I play it online on the Switch from time to time, and it's one of the better online games for the Switch. So Mario Kart
Yeah.
9, if they do put it out, if they do put it out this year, great. I mean, I would like to see it. I mean, I would like to see some features that you would see in, say, Mario Kart Mobile with, more characters, more courses, maybe going around the world or something like that. I mean, I think they could take Mario Kart into different heights. So, um, with that
that
being
is
said,
one big thing from the article that's
uh,
mentioned. That's probably a bit out of the norm for them, that they're
mhm,
looking into mobile development a little bit more than they would have in the past.
yeah, I mean, so it's, we'll see if it is anything like Mario Kart Tour, but I mean, for the most part, I'm a big Mario Kart fan. I'm a big racing game fan. So, I mean, they could just do a whole Nintendo cart, just make it like Smash, just put a bunch of Nintendo characters or third party characters in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Pac-Man, for example, he's in the arcade version of Mario Kart GP. So that it would be nice. I mean, to like see some more characters from maybe the Donkey Kong universe, maybe some more characters from the Zelda universe, maybe throw Samus from Metroid in there, possibly
Yeah.
Fox McCloud from Star Fox, maybe even get Sonic or some other third party guys like Mega Man or uh, I mean,
So what you're talking about here is probably a big question that
mhm,
might be up for discussion,
mhm.
with the idea that a lot of game franchises are going live service, or that Super Smash Brothers has been out for many years and they only just finished releasing characters for that thing. Are they
Yeah.
going to be looking at like a gradual release of content, or are they going to look at a massive
Well,
online space?
That's really
What
interesting.
could it be?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I'm a little scared with the mobile development thing because I've never enjoyed any Nintendo mobile games. But I think it'll be fine. I mean, it is Mario Kart, and I don't really mind the live service thing as much because with Smash, like you did have like a lot of characters release like a month after the game released on the Switch, so it wasn't like you were waiting forever to get like the full version of the game.
Did they
Well,
mention like with the mobile aspect that like if it would be like the same game that also plays on mobile, you know, with like simplified controls, or is it something that's just integrated somehow? Because I think because this would be the first game that would be developed with like the mobile aspect in mind. So it'd be interesting how they might integrate those two things,
Doesn't
or
look
if
like
it's just
anything
like this
specific.
game
uh,
works on your phone just as it does on a Switch.
I think it would just probably work. I mean, they didn't say anything like that in there. I mean, I would just think that they would just make it for Switch, with the basic controls. I don't think it'd be like touchscreen or anything like that. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, we'll see if it comes out on Switch or if they ever put out this Switch Pro that everyone wants to see. Then maybe it'll be the first game on there. I don't know, but I mean, I'm just thinking. I'm more of a guy with when it comes to Nintendo. I have to see it to believe it, but over 40 million copies of that game sold. It's not disappointing, but let's get into a game that was disappointing in terms of sales, and that is Days Gone. It was a disappointment, apparently. It only sold 8 million copies, and that's a big disappointment. Very, very big disappointment.
Only 8 million.
Only
Oh.
8 million. Only 8 million. And I mean, maybe it could have had 8 million if I had purchased it, but I did not, unfortunately. So, but I mean, I hear it's a pretty good game for the most part. Maybe it's something that has been done before for the most part. I mean, I seen just a bunch of gameplay for it. I never actually played it myself. I probably should play it to see if it was a disappointment, but I mean, it only sold, 8 million units. And do you think Sony's being a little hard here, or do you think that 8 million units is a disappointment for any video game?
I think the story is a little bit more complicated than that, based on the article that was shared. I think,
Yeah.
and this speaks to the relationship between publishers and developers as well. The bloke who's been sharing the sentiment about this on Twitter, who doesn't work for the game developer that created the game originally, has been talking about the management of that studio being very down on the success of the game, that they were very disappointed with the way it came out. And it seems from extra information that's been released as well that Sony wasn't the one that said that. It was the management of the studio. So I think the big question here is not about whether Days Gone was a success or not, because something sells 8 million, they're probably doing okay. And they also had a release on PC, probably a year or two after they released on PlayStation exclusively. And it did all right. It sold a bunch of stuff. But the important thing here is the relationship with the publisher and the developers, I think. And especially when you hear things like the publisher not releasing, not in this case, it was for another game, I can't recall which, but the publisher not releasing sales numbers so that they can withhold kickbacks to the studio. When stuff like that is happening, the question really becomes, was the game a disappointment? Or were the expectations set a little bit high and the people who were due something that should be feeling good about the game they developed, was it actually as bad as they're making it out to be? Or the third option is this just internet hyperbole, just looking to create a bit of a fervor or to cover something else up. This is, for anyone who hasn't listened to the podcast often, this is cynical Matt coming out a little bit. But what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think the. Oh, my bad.
No, it's fine. Go on.
Okay, I think the bar was set a little bit too high at the beginning, like with how many. I don't exactly know how many sales they expected to reach, but 8 million is not bad at all. I guess I don't know. I mean, I think that's fine. So I think the bar was set a little bit too high on release. How many copies they thought they were going to sell, and maybe 8 million was just a little bit lower than what they were thinking. So.
And we're never privy to those conversations, are we?
Yeah.
Like, who set that bar? Was it the publisher who set it too
Yeah.
high? Or was it the studio who informed them about, what playtesting was like and what user feedback was like as the game was in development?
Mm-hmm.
It's usually revolves around money.
I feel like one of the main issues is just development time, because it took, 7-8 years to make something like that. So when you say like 8 million's a disappointment, it's like and you compare it to other, because you brought it up in relation to them talking about Ghost of Tsushima's sales and how Sony praised them for reaching a milestone, yet Sony didn't really praise Bend for reaching that same milestone. But I think, with one game, two games can reach the same milestone, but if one takes double the amount of time to make, and therefore perhaps double or maybe double, but a lot more money to make, then you could have one game be a disappointment, even with the same number of sales. It's just the game just kept getting delayed and delayed until you're spending so much money to make it. Even selling 8 million copies might not really give you the return that you're really looking for.
Yeah.
So I think it is kind of understandable from Sony's perspective to be like, well, it's not, maybe not to say it's a disappointment, but to be like, well, since it took so long to make, it's not quite what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
And not to even go into the bugs and stuff at launch, which just isn't quite the quality of the other games, especially, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. And the game itself, like I gave it a go. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Kind of bounced off it, even though the premise is awesome. Like if you've ever watched Sons of Anarchy, you're like, yeah, I'd love to do that, but fight zombies.
I really enjoyed the game. I had a lot of fun with it. It was like I ended up platinuming it. I really sunk a bunch of time into it. And then once you actually did the what was it, the horde mode there, the hordes that come at you, I thought those were a lot of fun and different from a lot of other games. So I really enjoyed it, but I didn't get it at launch, so I didn't spend $60 on it. So that's also an aspect of it. But I enjoyed it. I'm sorry, what's that?
You saved some money.
Yeah. So when I think I paid like $30, at some point. So for a $30 game for me, I thought it was amazing. Maybe if it was $60, I'd feel it. Also, since it wasn't at launch, they had patched out a lot of bugs by the time I eventually did play, which all affects how I, see the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that first impression.
Yeah, first impressions are very, very important. But I mean, for the most part, I think, one, I still need to play the game, but I think a game that sells 8 million units, I'm just going to be real with y'all. I feel that it's just not that. Maybe it could be just a combination of a lot of things, from the developer to the publisher, all that stuff going into play. And you just gotta it could even be just people just being hard on it, just people thinking that it was going to be just knock it out of the park. And, just not every video game is going to sell like, 20 million plus copies these days. So, I don't know what I was expecting, but I think it did pretty well for, selling only 8 million units.
Yeah.
So,
look, let me put something for perspective for you, just based on what you said there. And of course, I think that the tagline that we have to use now is, was it like Cyberpunk? Bringing that into the conversation. That was a game that was released that had a lot of bugs on particular platforms. People in a certain circumstances were fine.
PC.
An entire year of everybody shitting on it. And it's come out at the end of awards, winning things and having sold more copies of that game than anything else. It's a really unusual position to be in, but it's not one that's unexpected for Cyberpunk. But now Days Gone was not on that level. No one was boycotting the studio to make sure that they fixed all these bugs and they got their money's worth. And yet, it still sold relatively all right, and it's called a disappointment. Whereas Cyberpunk has the luxury of being one of the biggest money-making games last year, have a bunch of people complain about it, a bunch of people like it, and it be called simultaneously a disappointment and a success. Like, I think every situation has to be considered in its own microcosm almost.
Didn't they sell like 16 million copies like for pre-orders? Like some intense number like that.
Something pretty high.
It is
Pre-orders were
high.
high. It's also one of the few games on shelves in the last couple of years to be given a return policy with no questions asked refunds and even taken off stores. And yet they still managed to get to the position they're in now. It's a really unusual case, but I think as a benchmark for deciding whether a game is worth your time or successful or not, maybe look at Cyberpunk. And that's a really good balance setter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima did pretty well. It sold 8 million, and that was considered a success. So maybe they had higher expectations for the game. I don't know. It's. I mean, I don't know where like how sales determine like the expectations of how they do and if it's a great game or not. Really, at the end of the day, it's really us the players that decide if it's a great game. It's I mean, just it shouldn't just all be based on like sales, especially low sale numbers like 8 million. Not.
This might be a good debate sometime.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, I think if a game does over like 1 or 2 million units, I mean, I'm not saying it's great, it's fine, it's dandy, but I mean, I don't consider that disappointing. I guess. Well, I guess it depends on what it is. So I'll take that
Yeah.
back.
I mean, if it's like an indie game,
Yeah.
that like like a 1 or 2 man operation that like not a lot of money was spent on the creation of the game,
Right.
then like 1 or 2 million units is like knocking it out of the park. But if you're having like a AAA studio that releases exclusively on PlayStation, then it's kind of a different story. But
All right.
Right.
So all right. Let's move on. So E3 2022 is canceled in person. Oh no, for the third year in a row. And the digital show remains uncertain. I'll read a quote from this article here. Due to the ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19 and its potential impact on safety of exhibitors and attendees, E3 will not be held in person in 2022. We remain incredibly excited about the future of E3 and look forward to announcing more details soon. So I don't know. I'm a little just weirded out by this because I mean the fact that this is the third year in a row that the in-person event is canceled and the digital show remains uncertain. What does this tell companies about E3? Does it saying that do we really need E3? Should we just follow the Nintendo route and just put out a direct or a showcase or something like that, or are they really going to come out with something just that's going to just blow it away in terms of um its digital show if they even still have one? I mean, I'm a little I mean, I hate to say it, but it seems like either COVID is really killing everything or E3 just hasn't been able to adjust properly. But this is like pretty serious because E3, this was like the gaming shows of all gaming shows. I really want to know what you guys think of E3 potentially coming to an end. Potentially, hopefully, it's not the end.
I
I
had a
feel
big
like
turn. I got a big thing to say, but go for it.
I don't think COVID is. I think it's like the final nail in the coffin, but I think it's been dying for long before it. I think companies like you said, Nintendo, Sony started realizing that they don't need it. So why bother sinking all this money into it? I think it could have a place on as a smaller scale for smaller companies, smaller studios that can show off their games and don't necessarily have the following that those bigger ones might have. But I don't think it. I can't really see a future where it regains what it once was.
Yep, I agree. The writing's been on the wall for a long time, and it was looking good. We had the Game Awards last year where people turned up in the audience. They all had face masks, and were doing the safe thing. So it was probably looking all right for E3. They made a very
Mhm.
bold choice to announce that it would be physical next year, this year, when they announced it last year, and they even put a date in there. But look, the fact that they're reacting to the world's circumstances and not overpromising too soon, that we got like 6 months warning before this thing was going to kick off, I think that's okay. But you're right, Ryan. E3, it's not the thing that it used to be. Everybody has been talking about how people are starting to drop out, that the need to go there isn't as high as it was previously. Nintendo, you could say, led the way there with their own directs and dropping out of a particularly strong position in E3. But now everybody is starting to work from home. People are watching from home. They're all doing stuff from home. Why not run E3 from home? Or not run it at all, or tell everybody to do their own things digitally. Like it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And that conversation was happening even before COVID. So
Right.
I think it's just, as you said, nail in the coffin.
Right. I wonder if Microsoft is really kicking themselves for buying that theater, naming it the Microsoft Theater, and it was like that they had these big shows at, and then right after they buy it, EA or E3 just starts going downhill, and it's like, oh man, we sunk a whole bunch of money into that.
Yeah, no, that was a big move, right? It was like, we still want to be E3, but not E3. They bought that out so they could have a space adjacent, so they could try and draw some of the crowds from the E3 space into their own.
Mm-hmm.
But it does a lot of things. That's where they hold the Game Awards, right?
Oh, is it? Oh,
In the
then
Microsoft Theater.
Then I think I'm sure it's fine. And
Yeah,
a theater
probably all
either
safe
from
spectrum.
Microsoft, I'm sure buying a theater is no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Microsoft Theater.
Exactly.
But
And LA is still the center of things, right?
Right.
It's where a lot of media stuff happens. So it makes sense for them to have somewhere physical in one of those main locations.
Definitely.
But yeah, they were probably thinking, oh, darn.
Yeah.
well, I
Just
don't
maybe.
know. Well, the thing with E3, I mean, it kind of holds a special place in my heart when I was finally able to go to it. For years I had been watching this show from afar, and then I'm not sure if Finance. I think Finance brought it up in I think our New Year's Eve episode, or not New Year's Eve, but our last episode of the year. But we had gone to E3 live, and we thought like, oh yes, we could potentially get into the building. Yes, E3 live. That's gonna be tight. And that thing was a joke. Like it was just like some crappy games, and it was just people lined up outside, and yeah, just it was pretty bad. And then the next year, we found out that they were opening it up to the public. So yeah, me and him had to jump on it, and we went. We had a blast. But I mean, I think the fact that they opened up to the public, I know like a lot of exhibitors weren't very happy about it, and I think just maybe that was the beginning of people just being over E3. I mean, I will say that it was pretty crowded, but I mean, I can say I had the time of my life, and I would go to another one of these events if they had it in person, and if the circumstances were safe to do so. I know they don't want to put anyone's life in jeopardy or anything like that, but I mean, it's definitely encouraged me to go to other conventions out there as well. Whether it be arcade conventions, pinball conventions. I've been there. Retro video game conventions. I love going to cons, and I think that's definitely one of the things that influenced me to go. So I mean, I'm a little bummed out about it, but I mean, I'm still not going to stop going to conventions at the end of the day if they're going to cancel. I mean, so I mean, is it a bummer? Yes, but at the same time, I mean, a part of me just knows the writing was on the wall. I think it started in 2017, I believe. I think was when they opened it back up to the public. So yeah, it's a little. It's a little sad, but I mean, I hope it doesn't end. I think I mean, we'll,
I think
we'll,
there's
we'll see what happens.
a few more things that they need to do right as well, because we can't forget the year. I can't recall which one it was, but the year that all of the press information, everyone had been doxxed because
Oh
they hadn't
yeah,
protected the press information enough,
oh
and a
yeah.
lot of people started getting harassing phone calls because those phone numbers and that addresses and private information was leaked.
That
I
wasn't
think it
good. Yeah,
was
I remember that.
last year. There was the app that people were using that was not protected at all, had a lot of security risks and bugs as well. Like, they got to concentrate on getting a few things right. And
Hmm.
if this is the one thing that they can do right, that they keep going digital for a while and just figure things out, then I think it's okay.
Yeah, I'm willing to watch whatever they do, and I'll be curious. Definitely curious. you know, whether
And
or
that's the
not
thing, it
it'll.
doesn't cost us as consumers to view the stuff that
Right.
they do, right?
Yeah.
The
No,
only thing that they ask if they want to do a physical show is that you turn up and pay some money and then wait in line for
$200.
maybe 60% of your time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of line waiting, and that was one of the things. It gets tiring after a while. I mean, at least with the Switch being out, hey, if you have a Switch, you can, or like a 3DS, DS, Game Boy, whatever, PS Vita, you can play some games in line just to play the one new game that you can only play for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so, and then just something that I guess you could have easily watched at home, or or just
Play it at
watch.
home.
Yeah,
Like
or play it.
in
Yeah,
the old digital age, the demo is starting to come back, and
it
we haven't
should.
had demos for
Yeah, it
ages.
should. Yeah. So yeah. So that is one of the things with a lot of these conventions, and Finance and I also experienced that at the PlayStation experience that they had over here in Southern California. It's just a lot of line waiting. It's fun, but you will be waiting in line a lot of the time if you want to play the new game, or you could just watch it from afar, or they could just make it accessible so you can just download it to your PlayStation 4 or 5 or whatever console that it's on, and yeah, you just demo it from there. But yeah, it's I mean, yeah, maybe like you said, Ryan. I think COVID probably is the nail in the coffin. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, they come out with a solution for it, or the ESA just makes it go away for good. I don't know.
As long as they're getting their activations in the public for their influencers and they're able to push enough money, something's going to happen. We just got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Just keep an eye on it, folks. All right. So, gaming in the cloud. Samsung Gaming Hub is a discovery platform, cloud games on the smart TV. So if you want to play your games in the cloud, it may be coming. It looks like it's going to be coming to a smart TV, and Samsung is the first. This was also announced at the CES 2022 trade show in Las Vegas. Um, Looks like Samsung Electronics has unveiled the Samsung Gaming Hub as a new way to play and discover cloud-based games on Samsung smart TVs. Now, I do have a Samsung Smart TV. Um, I don't know. I'm still a little bit on the fences of cloud gaming, but to the looks of it, it's looking like it's going to be having some AAA games, and looks like they're partnering with some very popular platforms here. Let's see here. They're partnering with some I know Nvidia, and oh, here we are. Yeah, Nvidia, GeForce Now, Stadia, and Utomic. I think I said it right. Utomic. With more to follow, and then Doki, top CEO of Utomic, says that we are excited to kickstart Utomic's venture in the cloud gaming with a great partnership with Samsung. So you shall be able to play the Stadia that still remains alive somehow. I'm just being honest. GeForce Now, which is which is also good. And so I gotta ask, are you guys excited that you could potentially play AAA games on your TV in the cloud? This could just be the end of consoles as we know it after reading something like this. A TV that can play AAA games.
I don't know. I don't know if cloud gaming has come along far enough to say that consoles are dead because Samsung innovated with their smart TV. I don't know. I think it could be a failure like the rest of the cloud gaming apps that have come out, like Stadia.
Yeah, well, Stadia's still pushing.
Yeah, because that has Google behind it. Okay.
I find this really interesting that with like Netflix and all my all the different streaming things that I watch shows and movies on, it's like you have all these different, and now that there's so many services, you have all these different things that you go to, and it's like I kind of want like a thing that puts it all together, kind of like on like the PlayStation. It kind of, you can look at, it'll take shows from all your different streaming apps and put them together. But I feel like this is kind of doing it. Like that's something that once I had all these streaming services, I wanted, but now like game streaming is not there yet. So it's almost like they're offering that before game streaming has really taken a hold. So I feel like it's almost a little early. But also I don't see it taking off. I feel like PlayStation now eventually will have their own app on there, and Microsoft will have Game Pass app on different TVs. And this will be an interesting feature if you have a Samsung TV. But other than that, I don't see it being much of a thing.
So that's a very interesting point, that Samsung is the first one to get on the train with this.
Next is
That
LG.
maybe it's not quite there yet, but the fact that it's the Samsung App Store that is, congregating all of this information, but still requires you to have the apps available to it, maybe that's them posturing in the market before anyone else gets to it. Because being clear, we're going to have Apple Store opportunities. We're going to have
Android.
the Android Play Store. Yep. All those different markets are going to have apps that access cloud-based gaming. It's not just going to be TVs, even though there are Android TVs out there, and Apple TV is a product that connects into televisions. All this stuff, Samsung getting in first and them setting up the market precedent for it is going to be a really good thing, especially since they got shafted trying to do some integration with the Android market and all that stuff that came out with Epic and the kickbacks to Fortnite through the app stores. Like, that stuff is still shaking out somehow. But the Samsung App Store getting on this stuff quickly and being able to iron out the kinks and set something in the market first is a really good idea for them. Also, it doesn't require that they buy anything. There's a whole market of Samsung TVs out there because people are willing to pay for the premium, right? Samsung TVs and Samsung products tend to be considered as quite good, even though they do have bloatware in them. If you can roll out the opportunity to game on a television that's equipped with it, and the only thing you need to do is create an account with GeForce Now or eventually xCloud and whatever other service you've got, and that's going to make it very easy. And that's the step that Google Stadia was missing, right? Because with Stadia, to get that stuff off the ground, they had to send out a specifically designed Chromecast unit that would be equipped to be able to do that Stadia stuff initially.
But didn't they say that this would be shipped with their 2022 TVs coming? So it sounds like TVs that are out in the market now wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, maybe with an update. I mean, I could let y'all know I have 2 smart Samsung TVs.
I think that tends to be what happens as well. They'll say released on 2022s. NVIDIA does this with graphics cards as well. RTX is only on the RTX cards. Oh, wait, we can backpedal that, update the firmware, unlock some stuff, and all of a sudden ray tracing becomes available on previous gen cards. So it's tough to see what's going to happen down the line. But they're going to sell it with the new TVs just to see what the uptake is like. And if those TVs have something specific, or if they can add a bit of a market price to it, get a little premium on top of there and advertise gaming as one of the opportunities without having to buy a console, then maybe that's something that lends the credence towards opening it up to previous models or not. Because it all settles down to money, right? If they believe people are going to buy a $6,500 TV to replace their $3,000 one, and knowing that they do it so they can access gaming, then that's going to be revenue for them in their pocket. And they hold all of the scarcity of that availability as well.
Yeah. And I mean,
going back. Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, along with the money thing, the reason they announced it so early, even though cloud gaming at this point doesn't seem like it's all the way there, is once they realize that it can make them money, and if it does make them money, then they can start to upgrade and innovate in how cloud gaming works and how efficient it is, and if it can finally beat actual hardware. So, but they have to know that it'll make them money first before they put that kind of investment into that kind of stuff.
But the great thing is that they don't have to make the money from it, right? I don't think if this is successful, Samsung is going to turn around and buy up server farms somewhere so they can host their own gaming service. They will use it as a middleman and a gateway so that maybe, you pay $5 a month for ad-free gaming through whatever platform you like. It's going to be revenue streams. It has to be.
I'm kind of curious how they're getting money. Are they going to be taking a cut like things when they release on the Steam store?
Well, there's a whole issue with ads on televisions at the moment, right? And user data and information being transferred to these companies when you connect the television itself to the internet to update firmware and stuff. I think it was Vizio TVs that had that as a big issue for a very long time. And yeah, I imagine there'll be a way for them to monetize that as well. It's all about information.
Yeah, I think if it's like ads or they find a way to do that, that would, I mean, not that I would like that, but it would make sense. But if they're going to be trying to take a cut the way Steam would when you're
Oh,
selling
God.
games on Steam, I
Yeah.
can't see PlayStation or Microsoft going for that. I don't think there would be a need for them.
Well, don't forget, Sony puts out TVs too. I think if PlayStation wanted to go this route, they would just put out, smart TV with, PlayStation functions in it, kind of like that DVD player that they had that had like kind of like PS3s. I know it had like kind of like the cross X and B theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Seen
think
those.
you know what I'm talking. Yeah, it was kind of like
Yeah.
that. So I mean, I think they would just do something like that, quite frankly. But
Save some money on the software design
yeah.
for the DVD and just
Yeah.
reuse the XMB.
Yeah, just do that or something. But then Microsoft, they put out a lot of products. You could probably see them doing that. I think the only wild card here, like if you're talking about the big three companies, would be Nintendo. Like they would have to like create an app for that, right? I mean, I don't know, but I mean that's just wishful thinking into the future. If cloud gaming really is the future, I think it's still like at least 1 to 2 generations left before we're in the all digital age and no more physical games will be sold, and businesses like GameStop will crumble and cease to exist, but a little bit more of a GameStop later on, but
Yes, not to say maybe they won't be gone.
yeah, maybe they won't, but yeah, I'm
angle.
saving that for later. All right. Anything else on the Samsung TV cloud gaming? All right.
I like my TV's dumb. That's all I have to say.
Mine too.
Love me a dumb TV.
I guess Steam Awards picks its 2021 Game of the Year, and guess what game it was? Well, we can start with the nominations. Valheim, Resident Evil Village, Cyberpunk 2077, New World, and Forza Horizon 5. And the winner, drum roll please, Resident Evil Village.
Yay.
Yay. Is anyone really surprised?
To be
I
honest,
thought Cyberpunk had it for sure.
Yeah, I was hoping Forza would win, but I don't know. I'm just a racing fan, so what can I say? But but yeah, I mean, congratulations to them for winning Best Steam Game of the Year. Let's see.
I love it.
They're not the only one, right?
No, they had a couple other winners here. In addition to Game of the Year, Steam also featured various unique categories. Cooking Simulator VR won Best VR Game of the Year. It Takes Two won the Better with Friends category. Terraria won the Labor of Love category. Forza Horizon 5 won Outstanding Visual Style. Deathloop won Most Innovative Gameplay. So Farming Simulator won the Sit Back and Relax Award for its laid back gameplay.
No way.
Yes, I'm sure Mark is jumping up and down right now. So Mark, if you're listening, Farming Simulator, it won an award on Steam. So someone should actually DM that to him, and that's just so funny. And then it also goes on to say this year had a surprising amount of indie releases from various studios and developers, which brought a lot to the table, like Inscription, 12 Minutes, and Moncage. Two of those were your games of the year, right, Matt? Inscription,
Yep.
12 Minutes.
Just year of the indie. I think there's a lot of
year of the
games.
indie. Really, year of the indie.
Yeah. Name me an indie game that you don't know of that you've played that you enjoyed last year.
I didn't play it, but I saw a lot of gameplay on it. I know I probably enjoy Inscription, and I still want to play Satisfactory. That looks really good.
Yeah, not sure if that want to be indie, but anyway, the point is, it was the year of the indie, not just because there was a lot of great games that came out from people who have developed remotely, may not have been impacted by COVID, but a lot of AAA's got pushed back.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this year is going to be where AAA makes its resurgence. I think.
Or not, or not. I mean, we've already seen some pushbacks, but I mean, we'll have to just wait and see. But
But we already got February, which is stacked.
yeah, February was stacked. Saints Row got pushed back to August, but yeah, February is still stacked regardless.
Yep.
But well,
Yeah. And
congratulations.
most of them are 2 or 3 pushbacks.
Mm.
But also not surprised that Resident Evil picked up another one. I was surprised the first time I heard about it winning something.
Oh
Just because
yeah,
it didn't.
back in October, I think it was, or
Yeah.
November. Yeah, that was it must be a really good game. It's if it's winning multiple Game of the Year awards because this is
Yeah,
the second one from
I
my
thought Village
understanding.
was great.
You thought
Mm.
you played it?
Yeah. I had a
All
lot
right.
of fun with Village.
All right, right on.
Seems equal parts silly, but also the same kind of feel as Resident Evil. Is that the feeling you got as well?
Resident Evil's always a little silly, right? It's
Yeah, true.
it's weird monsters, and the dialogue's always terrible, and nothing really makes sense. But it seems like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I thought it was, it was Resident Evil, and yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. The remake of 2, it got me back into the Resident Evil games, and that was like probably my favorite game of the year when that came out.
Mm.
So I was back in. Then they remade 3, and I was like, yeah, it's not quite as good. And then Resident Evil, to go back to what 7 did with the first person view, and to bring Ethan back and everything. I thought it was great. I did play 7 entirely in VR though, so
Ooh,
I was
wow.
kind of a little disappointed that Village wasn't also in VR. But it makes sense. I don't think VR sold quite as much as they were expecting. So when they were making this one, they're like, we're not going to necessarily put as much time and effort into it. But yeah, Village, I had a great time. The atmosphere was great. The graphics were amazing, and I played it on a PS4 Pro, and it still looked like next gen, meaning like PS5. But yeah, it was an interesting ride. I wouldn't say game of the year for me personally, but I had a lot of fun with it.
all right, that's good, man. Well, I mean, yeah, finally someone on this podcast that has played that game, So yeah, none of us have played it. So yeah, I was definitely like, yeah, take the floor if you played it. Let us know how it is. Maybe one of us will pick it up or something. I mean, we all have the platforms to pick it up on. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
with Resident Evil, I think it's mostly about the vibe, and it does a really good job of setting a tone and making you feel like you're in that space, because the environments are so well designed, and the way they kind of guide you around them, but you still have freedom to explore. It does that really well.
Yeah, it does feel like it. I've seen a few videos of playthroughs of it, and the design just looks excellent.
Mhm.
It seems like a really well made game.
100%. Yeah.
yeah, it looks pretty good to me.
Like I said, it wouldn't be my game of the year per se, but I totally get it being other people's game of the year, and I'm not shocked to see Steam pick it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so we move on to some Xbox news. Xbox Games Pass games coming out for uh, the Xbox in the month of January. Some of these are already available, so I'm just going to read through them. Goroga, available for cloud, console, and PC. Uh,
Great game, by the way.
Elijah, cloud, which is also on cloud, console, and PC. The Pedestrian, cloud, console, and PC. Um, let's see, Ember for cloud, console, and PC. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, console and PC. Outer Wilds, cloud, console, and PC. Spelunky 2,
Yeah.
console and PC. And Anacrusis, I think I said it right, for console and PC. And then let's see, any and DLC game updates. Minecraft's New Year celebration will be going on through January 17th, and then for the Game Pass Ultimate perks, you got Apex Legends um, with the rig helmet, weapon charm, which is out now, and Fantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis January member monthly bonus. So pretty much, and then The bad news is the game's leaving the Game Pass, which is Desperados 2. No, Desperados 3, excuse me. Ghost of Tale. Uh, let's see. Uh, Kingdom Hearts 3, which is on console. Mountain Blade Warband, which is on cloud console and PC. Yep, it's going. And Pandemic console and PC. And Yeek, a postmodern RPG on PC. And then lastly, PUBG Battlegrounds will be leaving Xbox Game Pass on January 10th and will become free to play starting January 12th. So just a little reminder on that also. So any of these games that people should be on the lookout for, that what the games are the same, but I know I kind of just named a lot.
I mean, Spelunky 2 is an incredibly fun game, and I guess before Mountain Blade Warband leaves, that game is also incredibly fun, especially if you get like the Napoleonic DLC. It's an interesting game for sure.
I would say Gorogoa. It's an amazing game. If you have Game Pass, play it. It's only like 2 hours if you like don't know what you're doing starting off with like the puzzles. If you do, I played it multiple times. If you do know what you're doing, you can play through it in like 20 minutes, half an hour. But it's a really interesting concept that's very unique with amazing artwork. So if you have Game Pass, 100% play that game. It is amazing.
I agree. I bought it for I think it was about $5 or $6 when I picked it up, and this was last year, by the way. I think it had been sitting in my catalog for a while, and I just picked it up because I hadn't done it yet. And amazing game, like for what it is, just the artwork and the way it all interacts with each other, perfect. Good to give it a go.
Yeah, I did an interview with an indie developer named who made Luna the Shadow Dust, which is also an interesting game that people should check out. Mm-hmm. And she was one who suggested Gorogoa for me, and it blew me away.
That's awesome.
All right, so Gorogoa. All right, so that's one to check out. Anything else on this list that people should be checking out, or any of the games that are leaving soon that people should try to play before thinking about buying them?
I was really surprised to see Kingdom Hearts 3 on the console list. Had no idea that was there. Very, very unusual for those Square Enix games to make their way to the free tier of things. Definitely play that because that was all right. But I just finished The Pedestrian, which is a very short game, I should say. Maybe took me 2.5, 3 hours to do, but it's very interesting. A lot of little puzzles in there. It's kind of on the same line as Gorogoa, actually.
It looks like one that I would want to jump into, and I've been interested in.
Yeah, I think it's the way it feels is really nice. It's got like really chill vibes and really good music in the background. And while you're controlling a little dude who looks like the one you see on road signs and stuff through puzzles based in street signs, the background environments are incredibly pretty. Like they've done a really good job of setting the environment of where you are at each stage of completing the puzzles, plus the puzzles being incredibly hard to wrap your head around sometimes, but still being straightforward enough that you've got all the tools you need to finish them. Definitely give Pedestrian a shot if you can. Also, Outer Wilds. That is one that if you can pick it up for free and play it, definitely give it a go. It's not going to hit everyone the same way. Sometimes you'll play a little bit and you'll just bounce straight off it, and that's perfectly fine. But the development cycle around it, the reason that it came about, and the gameplay itself, the discovery, the way the game loop works, it's really interesting. But I'm deliberately not saying much about it because it's a really good idea to go in clean. Brian, you must have played this as well, right?
No, but I've only heard good things, and people keep telling me to play it, and so it's on my list to play. But I know that it's one of those games that you don't want to spoil.
Yes. Go in clean. Don't look up spoilers. You absolutely must, fill in a gap yourself. It's kind of based in a 20-minute loop of a massive space-based 3D environment that has a ridiculous number of puzzles. Incredibly overwhelming. But just dive in, do some stuff, and the world will slowly build out for you. Really cool game.
That sounds good. All right, so now that we talked about Xbox and the games coming out for the Xbox Games Pass, we talk about the PlayStation Now games coming out in the month of January. So we got 6 games here that they're kicking it off with. The big one, Mortal Kombat 11, Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age, Fury Unleashed, Unturned, Super Time Force Ultra, and Kerbal Space Program Enhanced Edition. Any of these games that you guys were familiar with?
Kerbal.
Yeah. All right.
I played Unturned a little bit.
One game I'm curious about is Fury Unleashed. That looks pretty fun for the most part. And then, I mean, you can always get down with some Mortal Kombat regardless of what number it's on. But what about Final Fantasy? Have you guys heard anything about that? Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age?
I actually bought it when it was released.
All right. All right. Would you recommend, guys?
It was my second game. Actually, no, my third Final Fantasy game. Because the first one I actually tried was Final Fantasy X, favorite game ever. Then 10-2 after that, a little bit different. 12 was different again. It was one of the first games that had the Kingdom Hearts kind of time-based action system that 10-2 had as well. And I got to be honest, I was a bit disappointed with it because it didn't hit the same way Final Fantasy X did, and I kind of expected all of them to just connect with me in a really interesting way. But if you're a fan of Final Fantasy games, at least the most recent ones, then this is definitely one to give a go of. And look, if it's in PlayStation Now and you've got it, give it a go. If you bounce off it, it's there's no love lost there. But it is quite good. This wasn't for me.
This wasn't for you?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's see. So for the most part, so I'm looking at a preview of Fury Unleashed, and it looks pretty interesting for the most part. I would definitely give that a go if you got PlayStation Now. But for the most part, definitely if you got PlayStation Now, that's what's coming out. If you're looking for something, I guess, old but new to you to play, then all right, then go
if
for
you
it.
have a really good internet connection.
You
need fast reaction time for a lot of these games.
Yeah. Or you can just buy it on their previous console. I still got my PS3 hooked up, so just another shot there. But I mean, yeah,
Final Fantasy 12 would be easy to get. It was a PS2 game.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably still have it. If we're talking about shipping stuff overseas, just let me know and I can send it across.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But yeah, hopefully that we see that Spartacus plan come together for Sony and PlayStation with the combination of PS Now and PlayStation Plus. I mean, I think a lot of people are ready to see that, see if they can really compete with Microsoft in terms of giving people what they want in terms of the game instead of a few here and then a few there. I mean, that's just my whole opinion on the thing. Now we get into our main topics. We'll start with topic number 1, which is cryptocurrency and NFTs. And is it really going to be taking over NFT and video games? We'll start with Square Enix. They hope the NFT, just a major trend in game going on forward. So for the most part, they are, banking on NFTs. Konami and their 35th anniversary. You would think that they would do something. No, not their 35th. Their Castlevania's 35th anniversary. Excuse me. You would think that they would put out like a new Castlevania game or like another compilation or something. But no, they're celebrating their 35th anniversary of Castlevania with NFTs.
Perfect.
And then GameStop is reportedly getting into the cryptocurrency and NFTs as well. I guess they think that it's going to save them. I mean, I'm a GameStop customer. I'm not going to lie, but I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how to feel about this. I mean, it seems like NFTs people aren't asking for it, but it seems like companies are doing it. It's, I mean, I guess they'll do, cryptocurrency. I mean, I'm right outside of Los Angeles in Southern California, and then the world famous Staples Center just was renamed the Crypto.com Arena. I kid you not. Crypto.com Arena.
That is absurd.
Yeah, Crypto.com Arena. Yeah. Google it if you don't believe me. So, I mean, I'm a big Clippers fan, and luckily they don't have very much longer to play there because they're getting their own arena. But that's a little off topic. But yeah, anyway, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's getting more and more popular cryptocurrency. So is it really taking over the world? Is it taking over video games? Is it something
So
you want to see?
for this
No.
particular segment, I would be happy to play the devil's advocate for why NFTs are a good thing. Let me tell you why. A lot of people have been coming to myself and my wife saying that getting into cryptocurrency is a really good idea.
I keep hearing
Uh,
that.
There's a lot of things flying around about it. There's a way to be silly about doing things in cryptocurrency. There's also a good way to be informed and to do all the right things when you're investing with it, when you're using it, when you're purchasing it, when you're selling it. For the most part, the way that we think about cryptocurrency now is just another thing to invest in. But there's actually a much broader application for the blockchain, for cryptocurrency specifically, and its connection to even games. Because there's a lot of current games that are in the process of being made, developed, even deployed already, where people can play to earn cryptocurrency. And the things that they do on these platforms all involve the trade of information through the blockchain. And it ends up being the exchange of money, but it's all the exchange of cryptocurrency. Now, referring back to the Square Enix announcement that you mentioned earlier, the detail of that is that they are saying that there's going to be something that they strive towards in probably a few phases, where not just NFTs, but the cryptocurrency market, like using the blockchain as a way to integrate in their games to give the players a little bit more control and input into how the games are played. Because they very specifically mention the idea of user-generated gameplay. And the way that the blockchain comes into that is that blockchain being user controlled and decentralized means it's the users that have all the control and the power over this stuff. So if you're thinking of emergent gameplay that's controlled by the developer and the publisher of the game, imagine if that was completely in control of the users. That's where I can see the Square Enix stuff going for them, where they can see the end game. But unfortunately, we've got things like the Castlevania thing where they're selling NFTs just to sell NFTs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're testing the waters where other people aren't willing to. And mostly they're doing that because they know that people are willing to drop the money to do it. And then GameStop, they're setting up a marketplace for people to trade NFTs and cryptocurrency. They're doing exactly what Samsung is doing that we talked about before. They're setting up the marketplace so they can be in control of when those transfers take place, basically setting up an exchange for NFTs. It only takes them 20 people to do it, as was stated in the article. Yeah. And that's a way for them to control the roads for all of these transactions that happen that costs money to do. Every transaction, every time a coin changes a wallet or a new block in the blockchain is created, it costs energy to do that. It costs things. So being in control of that stuff is going to be a good thing. So all those three articles together, I am happy to rail against the arguments that you guys have about the use of NFTs today and how it could contribute to what we're looking at in future with regards to the blockchain and integration in gaming. Go.
The thing that
set a pretty high bar there, you know.
He's researched this more than I have.
Yeah, look, it would only be it's only because I've been looking into cryptocurrency and I'm doing my research before I drop money on it.
Let me know when you drop money on it. Let me know.
I've bought some Bitcoin just to see how it goes. So far, not so good.
That's the thing. It's currently in a bit of a dip, as they say. By the way, Game & Watch audience listeners, this is an older podcast. Do not take any financial advice from any of us as hosts, because we will not be liable for any trades you make or any money lost should you happen to
sink it all in Bitcoin. No, I'm kidding.
No, take
don't do that.
From me. Don't buy their cryptocurrency or the digital images. Okay, save yourself some money.
Yeah, it all depends.
Right? Yeah, what I put into Bitcoin was like money that I was accepting. I had accepted that I could lose this money. It was only,
Yeah.
it's like I don't really gamble, but if there's a few
Well,
times where I've been in
pretty much the
casinos and it's
stock
like
market.
I'll
It's pretty much.
I'll spend some money to have some fun to gamble, like $20, whatever. It's like money that I am willing to lose. And that's only what you should put into Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies is money that you're
Yeah,
okay losing and no more.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I invested in what was it, Doggy Coin, and
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
yeah. I made a little bit of money, but I mean it's the waiting game. But I tapped out. Like I was just like, what, I can't do this. Like I said, I made a little bit of money. Not
Yeah.
I didn't come out a rich man, but I mean, um, it's something I would have to talk over with my wife if I'm going to do it. But for the
Another very
most,
good piece of advice too.
yeah,
Yes.
Talk
Talk
with
it
your
over with.
significant
yeah,
other.
yeah, definitely. I mean, now the future of it in video games, I mean, I would just have to see it to believe it. Once again, it's nothing I asked for, but I mean, like Konami, they're a storied franchise. I mean, they haven't made any smart decisions lately, in my opinion. They just put out a bunch of Olympic games that nobody cares about, but it
Well,
But they're
like
just trying to get back into games, right?
Yeah,
They
I
turned
mean,
around and
yes,
said, no,
yeah,
health clubs and pachinko machines.
yeah,
And now they've
like
gone, oh, hang on, pandemic. Okay, video
pandemic,
games
right?
again. Don't
yeah.
worry, we're back
So
for
yeah,
you.
video games. It's like one of their storied franchises is Castlevania, and it's just like 35 years, and you choose to do this. I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I think
So
they
let me
could.
reframe that for you. Because
Mhm.
currently, I'm going to be honest with you, it is you purchasing a scarcity model for an image that exists that anybody could get, right? But you have the ability to say that it's yours because you purchased a non-fungible token. But what if next year there's a new Castlevania game that comes out, and thinking like in the sense of amiibos,
Amiibos, I guess.
they are publicly available. You can buy as many as you like. But if you were the one person who had that Castlevania NFT and you were able to leverage that as something that's a benefit for you in a game that was focused on using the blockchain, then would you feel better about that purchase? What it does, it's hard to say at this stage, like
Yeah,
how the blockchain integrates.
I think people are going to find interesting ways to leverage that, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be about like actually owning that thing so much as, you can say that I own that thing. And maybe you could, maybe with social media, I don't know, twist that somehow where I'm the person who owns this one. So I think there's ways that people who are smarter than me might leverage it, but I personally don't see it. So to me, it doesn't make much sense. But I think there's a chance you might see people leverage it in a way that everyone will be like, "Oh, I wish I had seen that," but I'm not going to be that
Yeah.
person.
Here's another way to frame the argument then. At the moment, they're testing, in my opinion, testing the idea of purchasing NFTs on the blockchain to create that scarcity. At the moment, it's just bragging rights. You say, I own this thing because I have a block on the chain that has my transaction number, my client ID, my wallet. It's sitting in there. But the image isn't scarce. You can get it in other places. If companies were to start using NFTs for products that they can only get in that way, then what the company is essentially doing when it becomes decentralized is they're releasing all control of that product. Whereas every NFT that you see being released at the moment, including Ubisoft's Quartz program, which was for cosmetic stuff in their games, there's disclaimers and lines in their agreements that says if you can't access the game, NFT is not yours. Another big thing that came out in the articles we saw, if you use an inappropriate name when you're trying to buy something, we have every right to prevent your access to that thing, even though you paid the money.
Wow.
They're all being in complete control of this stuff because they realize that if they allow, let's say, talking about Saints Row, if they allow a dildo bat NFT available in a metaverse that can be transferred into different games, They don't want to have someone buy a dildo bat in Saints Row and then bring it into Minecraft, which is a G-rated game, right? They
Right.
lose complete
Yeah,
control of that if
PG.
it's decentralized.
So you're not owning
So,
it; you're leasing it from or renting it from them.
yes, that is the current issue that people have with
Yeah.
NFTs.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like buying video games.
yeah. Quite
You're
Right.
buying
frankly,
a
yeah,
license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Because you buy a video game today, you got to get the patches. I mean, every video game, unless it's perfect, it has a patch of some sort. So
But that's
it's
not
like,
what I mean. What I
oh,
mean is that when you buy a game, when you buy a DVD, any kind of digital based intellectual property, regardless if you've got the disc sitting behind you or not, you don't own it.
yeah,
You are leasing a version of that, and there's terms and conditions attached to the use of that game that means they could deny your access to it completely. This was the big fake news thing with Bruce Willis in his iTunes library back in 2012 or something. Not sure if you heard about that, but
I think I heard
there's been
something
lots
along
of
those lines.
stories of Amazon Kindle books where their entire libraries, users' entire libraries, are just switched off. They don't get access to them anymore because they broke those terms and conditions. But that's hundreds of dollars of books in a library that Amazon can just take away.
Yeah,
It's the same with video games too, and it's the same with these NFTs currently. So Ryan, you're right on it there. I think that's
This-
what they're looking at now.
And that an interesting thing you mentioned digital books and movies and games. One thing that I read that the blockchain could do, I'm not sure if this is true, maybe is that it could allow us or could allow people to essentially trade and resell their digital games or digital movies. So if you have a blockchain that says I own this copy, even though it's not physical, it's purely digital, I could sell that code or whatever to someone else and transfer the game, which could create a third party selling market for digital games, similar to how there is now with GameStop, and you can sell your physical games. Is that something is that real? Is that something that could actually happen with this?
Definitely. And they've been resisting that at all points, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Going digital, people want to stay physical because they can have the resale value off their games when they don't need them anymore. Once it becomes possible on digital,
I feel like Sony and other game companies, like it's almost like they want to push this narrative of NFTs in the way that Konami's using them to try and kill them now, so that people don't focus on the other ways that the blockchain can be used to benefit the consumer.
Entirely potential for that too. Just the same way big oil is invested in electric. Sorry, Logan, I can see your hand up. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you a chance.
Go ahead. Whenever.
The same way big oil is invested in like the electric vehicle market and research. You'd think, well, this is them paying to kill their own business, right? But them investing in it means that they're invested so they can take advantage of it for money in future, or they're investing in it so that when it dies, they're still going to have their original investment to exploit it later. You're right. It definitely could go that way. Video games may be trying to kill blockchain for video game development.
What'd you have, Logan?
Okay, so maybe I just don't fully understand, but as the way like NFTs are now, you buy, your image and you like own it, and that's the only copy that can be like attributed to you. But where you have like these, where like the NFTs are being like leased from the game company, right? So they don't, so it doesn't break like the terms of service. Doesn't that mean that like multiple people can have it and that you don't truly own it? So is that like really an NFT?
So the way it currently works is, say you buy an image from as an NFT from something, but everyone else can get access to that image too. The bit of the blockchain that has your transaction on it that indicates your ownership of that image doesn't include the image itself. It only includes a link to that image. It's kind of like a certificate of authenticity. So you can say, it's mine. No one else can touch it because it's a decentralized platform. It's not controlled by anybody. So you can definitely say it's yours, but everyone else can get it. With cosmetics in games, as they're currently trying to be used, it would be a direct correlation, and there would be a bit of validation going on there too. So when you purchase an NFT through Quartz, for example, you would purchase the NFT, they would have their cheap gas fees, and they're saving a tree because it's what is it? Ownership by
Greenwashing.
stake or whatever they call it, not ownership by work, which is the Bitcoin mining stuff we hear about. Instead, you purchase it, it adds your block on the chain with your ownership, and then the system has the ability to validate that when you get to the game to ensure that you can access that cosmetic. So the scarcity would still be there. I guess nothing would stop them from creating a line of 100 of the same product, maybe numbered, as you'd sometimes get with scarce physical items. But
Yeah.
if there was only one of them that existed, only one person would be able to purchase it.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
I'm
So,
going to admit straight off, it's a complicated subject, and it's
yeah.
taking me like a month to get to where I know about the blockchain currently, and I know like 20% of this thing.
Yeah,
But
it's sure it's complicated for all of us, but I figured it'd be an interesting topic to talk about, future video games, NFTs. So that's why I put it on the show notes. I mean, definitely. I
sounds
mean,
like you're heading towards a wrap up. So
yeah,
before you do wrap up,
yeah,
I'll say one thing.
yeah. Okay.
If people are saying don't buy NFTs now, and it doesn't look like a good value add to you, take the same advice that Ryan talked about at the start of the show, that we talked at the start of the segment. Make sure it's money that you're happy to lose. Talk to your significant other before you spend it, but also do your research. Make sure that you're in a position to be able to spend that money. And if you decide it's not worth it, that's perfectly fine. But don't discount the blockchain, cryptocurrency, all of that being integrated in gaming to some degree, because it already is. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah, we certainly
Well
don't
said.
know it. Yeah, very well said, Matt. All right, so in main discussion topic number 2, and Finance, I know you're in the background producing, but I'll give you credit where credit's due. You were right. Um, yes, PlayStation is coming out with its new VR headset, the PlayStation VR2. Looks like it. So I'll go through some of the specs of the VR2. Its display method is going to be OLED, panel resolution of 2000 by 2040 per eye, panel refresh rate of 90 hertz and 120 hertz. The lens separation is adjustable, field of view approximately 110 degrees. Um, let's see, motion sensors, 6-axis motion sensing system, 3-axis gyroscope, 3-axis accelerometer, attachment sensor, IR proximity sensor. It has 4 cameras for the headset and controller tracking IR camera for eye tracking per eye. Wow. Feedback vibration on the headset. USB Type-C and audio input built-in microphone, output stereo, headphone jack. Looks like it can only be used on the PS5. It's not backwards compatible with the PS4. And they debuted it at the CES 2022 in Las Vegas. So that's where they debuted it at. And they also put out a small clip of a game, Horizon Call of the Mountain, from Gorilla and Fire Sprite. So that's going to be one of the games for it. So I got to ask, Ryan, are you big into VR?
I am, yeah. I had the original PSVR, and
Okay.
now I have an Oculus Quest 2.
That seems to be the most popular one at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's
Yep.
got
and
Quest
it
2.
seems like Sony's taken a lot from that and in
Yeah.
putting it into this one. The
Does anyone here
controllers, the
get
inside-out tracking.
Does anyone here get sick doing VR?
Don't know.
Only
Never tried it.
more intense things. Like if it's ever like a roller coaster riding thing, I will, because you're moving all
Okay.
around and your body's not doing anything.
Or
But for the
something
most
like
part, I got
Wipeout.
pretty good VR legs.
Okay. Yeah, I tried it once, and I did not come out of that feeling too hot. So the
Yeah,
VR
well,
stuff for me is it's
Yeah.
interesting to see, but I know it's never going to be my thing.
Well, I think with this the VR2, PlayStation VR2, I thought I read something that said that there's haptics in the headset, which
yeah.
can just like vibrate if you get hit or you can bump your head or whatever. but I thought I read something that said that it could also help with motion sickness at times.
Oh, that'd be
because
interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
feeling like a little bit of feeling when your head's moving or you're doing something can trick your mind just that little bit to help you out. So this actually might be something that gets you into VR.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll keep my eye on it then. I didn't realize that.
Might depend on how far development had come when you first tried it as well. Because I have heard stories of developers putting things like reticles where your nose would be as a thing to concentrate on throughout that movement to, again, trick your brain into focusing on something and not feeling like you're, rolling around in a gravityless void or something.
Yeah. No,
but
it's
everyone's
about
a bit different.
2 or 3 years ago, so I don't know if it's changed any since then.
Well, also going off of that, in a similar way but different, I was started with VR when it was like just putting the phone in like the cardboard thing.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe me experiencing it when it was so bad, going to what we have now,
that was bad.
it's just so much better that I don't get as sick, because I did feel weird when it was like using the phone, back in the day. Back in the day, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Longer.
I'm excited about. I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say that when I was doing IT support in the school in 2011, 2012, that's when I first bought Google Cardboards for them, for the students, so they could do stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Oh, no, you're good. You can go.
I was not expecting this announcement at all. I was really expecting this to get pushed into 2023 because of the pandemic and everything. So, and the fact that this early in the year they talked about it really surprised me. And they're saying, holiday 2020 or 2022? Sorry. I'm a little iffy on that, but I was also not expecting anything this year, even like an announcement, because of the pandemic. So, hey, I was wrong about that. So it could come this holiday.
But there's so much stuff up in the air still, right? Like, we don't know how many units they're going to be able to sell of this thing.
We don't know how much it's going to cost.
Cost is another thing. Yeah, but it's also no better time than this, when people will potentially be at home again. Maybe they do need a chance to jump on something that gives them access to the outside environment, particularly with people getting infected so often with the new variant, and people being locked away for longer than they would reasonably expect. This is going to be a good opportunity to get it into people's hands early and quick, and knowing that the product is going to be excellent and on par with new stuff. Whereas with the first one, they said, oh yeah, remember that PlayStation Move thing that we had a little while ago? I hope you kept those sticks, because you're going to need them for use in the first PlayStation VR that we roll out. Whereas this is like a full product,
Yeah. The first one seemed like they were, like threw stuff together to get out there on the market. Where this one seems like the first one where it's from the ground up. They have a much better idea of what to include in it. The controllers they seem to have gotten right. But I think the biggest feature for this one that I'm excited about is the eye tracking and the foveated rendering. So I don't know, for anyone who doesn't know, foveated rendering means it doesn't have to render the entire, image. It can track where your eyes are looking and then put the GPU usage into rendering where your eyes are looking instead of rendering what's in your peripheral vision as a way to save on, to improve in performance. So I believe, I don't believe there's a headset on the market right now that has the eye tracking. They might have some form of foveated rendering, but with eye tracking and foveated rendering is a game changer. And it looks like Sony might be the first to market with that combination of things, the eye tracking and the rendering, which could close that gap with the rendering. So you could have the PS5 rendering things that could kind of compete with PC. Not that they're actually doing as much, but they're using that technique, are saving on performance. So that to me is probably the most exciting thing. I'm liking all of the stuff that I'm seeing, but that's probably number one for me.
All I'm hearing is another vector for people to get ill If
Oh.
you know, the graphic rendering doesn't keep up with your eyes, maybe you
Oh.
catch peripheral
Yeah.
graphics.
Motion
Yeah.
sickness. Well, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, as for me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not see this coming at all. I mean, with the Oculus 2, just being a beast for the VR scene right now, I think this kind of it really just came out of left field to me. So, I mean, for VR fans out there, I know that they're excited. Um, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. I mean, I am very interested to see the price and, definitely just see, some more of the gameplay of how it is. Now, um,
And if
I have
they'll be
not,
able to ship them.
yeah,
If
and
they
if they'll,
get-
yeah, that too, or if you can find one, hopefully they're not being scalped all over the place.
Yeah.
But,
Or
Oh, they
stuck on
will
a
be.
boat in the middle of the Suez Canal,
yeah,
just
Yeah,
like
right.
some stuff was last
yeah.
year.
So, I mean, but me personally, I mean, I haven't really cared for VR too much. I mean, I think my real first experience for VR was at that E3 live event that I was telling you guys about earlier. One of the things Finance and I did there was we tested out the HTC Vive, and that was just some crappy VR, crappy VR, crappy games. It was just, it was stupid, and maybe it kind of rubbed me the wrong way that I haven't even really given it like another chance. I mean, I know I've done it a few times at his house, but I mean, because he has a VR headset for his PS4. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, I would like to give it another try. I don't think I'll ever like want to ever purchase a VR headset like that, but
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, I'm always open to change. If I see a good product out there, I'll definitely invest into it. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see how it is. But I mean, I'm excited for
I would bank on it, man. You'll be
it.
trading cryptocurrency and working in VR.
No,
It's not gonna
no.
Having
But-
go on.
Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it was playing Resident Evil 7 in VR all the way through kind of changed. It went from being like it's interesting, it's got some cool experiences, to being like, this is an entirely different experience that I want to try more of. But the experiences have to be made for that, and I don't think anything's really hit the level of Resident Evil 7 for a VR game. There's been lots of great games that I've enjoyed, but nothing has hit that. That was like the peak. So, but
Yeah.
Horizon, was it Call of the Mountain or whatever?
Yeah,
Whatever
Horizon
the
Call
one
of the
that came
Mountain.
out.
Yeah,
Or that they announced. That
Yeah.
I think Sony's excuse me, Sony's like AAA might behind this game, I think will do a lot for VR.
Yep.
And could reach that Resident Evil 7 level.
First party exclusive on a developer in a game that we already love.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. I think they're
Smart
knocking
move.
it out of the park. Ryan, real quick, have you ever played Wipeout VR? I heard that's
I did.
a tough one.
Yeah,
How'd you
I
feel?
did. It didn't really hook me.
Oh, okay.
But I did play it. I think it was it a PlayStation Plus game 1 month. I forget. I feel like I didn't pay for it, but maybe I did. But it was fun. But I like Drive Club VR. That more normal car driving. But Wipeout didn't hook me. But I think I remember it looked cool when you're in it. But I didn't necessarily find the gameplay all that, not that it wasn't enjoyable, but it just didn't hook me.
All right, I figured I'd ask. All right, so are you guys pre-ordering your PlayStation VR2 headsets? Well, I guess you have to have the PS5 to pre-order it. Since it's,
I was going to say, let me
yeah.
get a PS5 first, and then we'll talk.
I do have a PS5, but I'm gonna have to wait on the price for PSVR 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna have to wait on this price, because if it's
Probably
like
gonna
another
be
$500,
Yeah, it's probably
I think a
another
lot of
PS5.
people are gonna. I know for me, even if I did want this badly, if it's another 500, I'm gonna have to wait for the price to come down a bit there. All right.
Because the tech in it is greater at this point than the Oculus 2. But one of the ways that Oculus brought that cost down to be $300 is having the Facebook integration, where you have to, which I'm not sure if they still require this, but you had to sign into Facebook, and then they're getting all the money off of selling your information and whatnot. Sony's not going to have that.
Yeah, well, for the Oculus 2, I don't think you have to have a Facebook account anymore, from my understanding.
You did initially, because when I got
Yeah, they
my
got rid
Oculus
of
2,
they
I
got
had
rid of
to.
it.
They
Yeah,
got
they got
rid
rid
of
of
it?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, they got rid of it.
But
It's a smart move.
they're still developing it, right? Meta,
Yeah,
previously
Oh,
Facebook,
metaverse.
their own Oculus. We don't need to go into the metaverse necessarily, but we do need to understand that as a product, Facebook/Meta is one of those companies that does like to get your information, and if they've stopped doing the account stuff,
Yeah,
they'll just have another way to get it.
Yeah, because if they stop doing the account stuff, I mean, the price of the Oculus is still the same, and it was priced in such a way that they needed to make that money back through the accounts. So just because they got rid of it for now means that they still got to find another way to make up for the cost. I mean, the tech will be a little bit cheaper now. It's a few years in, but probably not
But
enough to make up for.
Competition is the thing that drops price, right? For them to be competitive in a market with competitors that are fronting up to them, that's how the price is going to stay low without them leveraging their users for very nefarious things. So this is a really good thing to hear, I think, in that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
because the first PSVR kind of had the largest market when it first came out because of its connection with PlayStation. You didn't need a powerful PC, and then Oculus just pretty much not stole that market, I should say, but had so much built up. It's pretty much stole that market by just making it cheaper and making it so you're not tethered to anything. And then they instantly became the number one place for VR. And now Sony's got to try to take that back.
It's true.
Yeah, so true.
But I don't know, because Oculus, I'm sure they have 3 coming out, or Oculus Pro rumored. So
I wonder how fast and furious they're going to come out now. There's been the Valve Index that's flying around since last year. I think they released it. They might have a lot of iterations planned for that platform with the Steam Deck coming out.
Yeah, I think so.
Another one in the market.
They did mention that it could do VR, didn't they?
Yep.
Not that it would be a great experience, but
all I can imagine is getting like the old iPod armbands where you could like slot
Oh God.
You get the headset on, you plug your Index, you plug it into your thing, and you strap your Steam Deck, and you're like,
oh
get ready
no!
Maybe
They'd have like you could put on your back.
Yeah, if it was big enough, for sure.
Sure.
Maybe if it got too hot, that might be a bit of an issue.
Plus, your haptic vest is going to get in the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can't believe I didn't consider that.
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
No.
All right. Okay. So definitely, PlayStation VR2 is coming out real soon. Just hopefully you guys have a PS5 before buying it, unless you plan on scalping it or something, folks. All right. So now that our main discussions are done, we're going to get into the rundown of the week, which is going to be pretty quick. And these are, for the most part, these are games that are already out there, just coming out on different platforms. We got Monster Hunter Rise coming out January 12th to the PC. Astroneer coming to the Switch on January 13th. And then God of War coming to PC on January 14th. That I know a lot of people are shaking their head at that God of War coming to PC. That's a big one. So good. Yeah, definitely. Any of these games besides God of War that people should be looking to get on a different platform?
No.
Monster Hunter Rise? No. On PC?
It all depends, really. Astroneer is a big one. That's a really great one to play with other people as well. Right. If the Switch has figured it out that it's actually effective to use on their platform in an online capacity, then that'd be a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, all the games I've heard are good, but I haven't played them. So
all right.
Yeah, all I played is God of War, and I would definitely recommend that. But
yeah, God of War is a great game, definitely a great game. All right, so getting into our final segment of the show, and that is, what are we playing? Who wants to kick this segment off?
I can start.
Logan, yes, you start. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Bloons Tower Defense Battles 2, and I don't know. It's a good game. It's free if you want to try it out, but I would wait like maybe 2 weeks to like pay for any cosmetics or anything because there's a new update that's coming out that'll make the grind less. But yeah, it's a good if you like tower defense games and if you like the first battles, it's a good game. Ninja Kiwi makes good games, so very very competitive, and I'm not terrible at it, so it's nice.
Is this on mobile?
Yeah, it's on mobile and then it's also on PC. I mean, you're gonna get the best like experience playing on PC. My fingers hurt on mobile because my phone is a little bit tiny for it, but yeah, free either way. So
Okay.
Sounds good. All right.
I'm not really one that goes into for mobile games like that. I tend to avoid them like the plague. But
that's fair.
I'll
looks like it's well
occasionally
made.
dip my toes.
Yeah. I like the Bloons series, so that's
I just if I'm playing a mobile game, it's usually something that's quick, like Sudoku or something. Like
yeah. Okay.
Quick
Yeah.
and Sudoku, dude, big brain.
I could do Sudoku, man. Yeah,
Speedrunner.
That's
It's
awesome.
something that you can like play a little bit of it and then kind of put it away for a bit, and then come right
Yeah.
back to do a little bit more.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I sometimes do that, like when I play.
Yeah.
Just put it down, go back to it. Just it's like, oh, I didn't see this there. Yeah, Sudoku, guys, great game if you guys want to test your mind. All right,
And Minesweeper. Okay.
yeah, Minesweeper
Hey,
also.
Minesweeper. I'll play that all day.
Classic.
All right, what you playing, Ryan?
I've been playing Death's Door,
Death's Door.
which I heard a few people mention it and talk about it. I didn't really hear anything about it before it came out. And then I was looking for something else to play. I came across the store I got it on the Switch. And I got it on the Switch OLED, which there's a lot, the way it works with the isometric view. There's a lot of black areas of the screen. And I played it on my original Switch and then on my OLED Switch. And the upgrade is a great game for that crossover. You can see those deep blacks. Anyway, I'm loving the game so far. It's kind of got like a kind of like a Soulsborne-y, Dark Souls type thing going on, where a lot of rolling, difficult bosses, but also the way that you explore the world and you can open up new areas and you can see different areas or doors or gates or things that you can't really get through. Then you follow the path and you'll open them up. Which will give you kind of shortcuts to get to the bosses and whatnot. So it's very similar to the Dark Souls games in that way, but with that new, unique spin on it, which is the isometric view. And it's very addicting. I like the atmosphere and the little bit of quirkiness that they got going on in the story. I think it's just nailing everything that it's going for. And there's not much yet that I've really been disappointed with or been like, oh, I don't really like this aspect. So far, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. And I'm happy that people were talking about it because I didn't hear anything. And then if it wasn't for some people, mentioning it, I wouldn't be playing it. And I think it was $20. So it's great for the price. I think I would have been happy paying more for it even. But I think $20 is probably the smart point to release it at. Yeah, like I said, not a negative thing to say about it. Great game, great artwork. It's a challenge, but it's not ridiculous. And a lot of cool exploration and opening up the map with great map design. So if you're looking for a new game, I would say Death's Door is one to pick up for sure.
Such
That's a game
good
that
game.
you really like, Matt, right?
Yep, I was selling it for ages.
You finally
I
listen.
think probably
Someone listened to you.
I did. Did you post about it in the Discord by any chance?
I would have. Yeah,
I think I
definitely.
probably
You talked
saw
about it
that.
on one
And
of
it
our
might have been one of
episodes.
the things that made me get it.
Awesome. Well, it was on PC first, and then it came out for PlayStation, and I think Finus has picked that up as well in his Christmas purchases. But yeah, it is such a good game. So well made, small dev team, and it catches a lot of people. Sometimes people get turned away when they hear Soulsborne. Oh god,
Right.
I hate Dark Souls. But it's not like that. But it's like
It's not
that.
quite
It's-
as difficult. It's not
No.
as difficult
Well,
as Dark Souls.
see how far you get through. I want to know where you really started to run into those frustration points.
I think
How
I'm
long is
getting.
it?
Mm.
I think my time clock says I'm probably about 9 hours in.
Okay.
I think I got. There's like 3 main bosses, unless there's like a 4th one that they haven't talked about yet. I'm not sure, but I've defeated 2 of like the main bosses. I think I have
Nice.
1
That's
left.
Cool.
So
Yeah,
pretty deep into the game, and
it's
loving
one of
it.
those games that has the main track. You do have to kind of backtrack a little bit when you get
Yeah,
different powers and stuff, which exposes you to the environments again, but in different ways. And I think it's a really no spoilers. This is completely
Are
like
you
you
sure
will
about
find this
that?
out.
I
Are
don't
you
think
sure
that's
about that?
much of a spoiler.
No, you don't have to backtrack at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
But the there's as much there as you want to get out of it. It's not like the Souls stuff where you have to read the item descriptions to get an idea of the world, or reading up on those grimoire cards for Destiny.
Uh,
It's more about unlocking extra bits of it that isn't necessary for the story, but still gives you a lot of the satisfaction that you get.
yeah,
But it also means you get to play more of this game that you really enjoy. So you'll probably be more motivated to do the optional stuff. And I think a diligent player will do all of it in under 20 hours, but you'll have a rip roaring time doing it. It's really good.
yeah. I love running back to the old areas. To like that's where I'm doing right now. I just defeated the 1 boss, and I'm just going back to the other areas to see now that I've got some new powers to see what I can get through now. And I like
Yeah,
that loop. Get to a boss, beat it, maybe try to go back and see what you can find.
that's it. And the paths that open up and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely gave me
Same here.
that feeling of playing Bloodborne when you open up like a gate or a door that leads to like that place in the game that you've been 1,000 times, and it's like, oh, it's that door. That's where that comes out, or that's where that
Yeah.
leads. You have moments like that throughout.
And if you have a good visual memory, you'll
Yes.
remember like 10 hours ago when you played a thing and saw a little circle somewhere that looked a bit different to the rest of the environment, but not
Right.
something you could action. You'd be like, oh, that's what that. Okay, I need to go back there and do that.
Mm.
Sorry, I may be saying too much at this point. No more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're getting into spoilers. All right, Matt, what you been playing, man?
Well, I mentioned before I've been playing the Pedestrian when it
Oh
came
yeah,
out
the
on Game
pedestrian.
Pass.
Mm.
Very good, couple of hours of play, lots of good puzzles, really nice aesthetic, and yeah, really good. I'd recommend it to anybody that just has some extra brain space. Maybe you finished your daily puzzle of Sudoku and you'd like to try something a little bit different. I'd jump on
I'm
the
a big
Pedestrian.
puzzle. I'm a big puzzle guy. You'd be surprised.
No surprise here.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, jump on it and give it a go. Very small too. If it's on
All right.
PC, it's like 1.5 gigs or something.
All right, pedestrian.
Um,
All right, I'll be on the lookout for that.
Something that I've had my eye on for most of last year was Loop Hero as well. That was released at the beginning of last year. Was for free
Oh,
in the
right.
for Christmas freebie games program they did for 13 days or whatever. And I was very thankful that it did because I was considering picking it up. It's about $20, I think, usually. And it's a very interesting game. It has that feeling of overwhelm when you try it the first time because it involves automated mechanics where your little sprite dude is walking around. Actually, dude or lady, you can choose what you'd like to be. I think just traverses a path in a low pixel environment, and it does it automatically. The fights happen automatically. You're not selecting attacks to do. It is literally what we're seeing on screen right now. You just sit there and things just happen. What you can do as you beat monsters and place areas of the environment that appear as cards is collect items to equip to your character to improve the battles as you loop around the environment. Each loop is closed, so you have to complete that loop in order to save, and then there's base building when you finish each loop, and the whole story is based around being caught in a world of emptiness that you have no memory of, that you need to fill out by completing these loops and adding cards to the environment like meadows and trees and mountains and things like that. Now, that kind of overwhelm, the confusion that you feel of me explaining in that, if you haven't heard of it or seen it before, is exactly how you feel when you jump into it too. So when you're giving it a go for the first time, which I'd highly recommend, especially if you got it for free, is to just play it for a bit. Just let the mechanics wash over you, get used to it, and then you'll pick it up and just be able to keep going with it, which I have tried to do. I have no idea what the end game looks like for this. The different levels of gameplay. There's different classes for that little sprite you can pick. There's like a soldier and a necromancer and a rogue. There's different cards in the environment you can place. It's very complicated. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about it, but every so often I'll dive in, do a loop, build out some base stuff that might take an hour, and then I'll come back to it maybe another day. But it is very good. It's a very interesting game mechanic. If you're interested in game development or some of the more esoteric games that I am usually a fan of, like Inscription, then it's definitely worth a go. And plus, not only was 2021 the year of the indie game, it was also the year of the loop game.
Yes, it was.
Loop, you've got 12 minutes. This is one of those loop games too, just with a very different looping mechanic to it. So yeah, definitely give it a go. I'm going to continue playing it. One thing that I was going to bring to the podcast last week, unfortunately I couldn't come for reasons that you know. I also picked up Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is my usual masochistic, oh hey, I can do this, right? I can play another Assassin's Creed and it's not going to be the same as the last one. It's the same as the last one. So I may be jumping back into that or not.
I'm in the exact same boat. I was looking at it. It was only like $25, I think, on PlayStation right now, unless that deal ended. And I was like, I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna sink the money into it, and it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, look, if you enjoy Viking stuff and you've watched the Viking series, particularly the arc involving Ragnar Lothbrok and his sons, then there's a lot of story stuff in there for you. But if you bounced off Odyssey and said, nope, I'm not going to run around this massive landscape for 80 hours again just so I can tick off all these items on the map, then it may not be for you. It's a little bit different.
I backed
really
off.
enjoyed. I'm sorry, go on.
I was also saying I backed off that game. It was, I mean, the world. I mean, it's very very well designed, but it's just the world's just too much. Like, yeah, it was a lot.
It's a bit
Is it Odyssey
confusing
or
too.
Valhalla?
The little Leo, it is a little confusing. It's not like your typical Assassin's Creed game, in my opinion. I mean,
that's Valhalla, Brian, I think,
okay.
that he's talking about there.
Valhalla.
Whereas Odyssey stuck to pretty much the same as Origins did, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a different environment, different story, different characters. Yeah. So look.
Yeah. I skipped over Origins because I was kind of done with Assassin's Creed. And I jumped back in with Odyssey. And I loved Odyssey. I mean, I had a fun, but it is that collectathon, you know, just sinking. It's that mindless game that I didn't really care what was going on, but I liked what I was doing, but I didn't like that I liked what I was doing because I was just collecting things.
We've got so much in common. But one thing I will say is that Origins is the last Assassin's Creed game that I enjoyed.
Really?
Okay. That's
because
fair.
it was brand new. It was the
first.
It
changed it up.
Yeah, it was the difference. And where Assassin's Creed games get layers on them, like before you got a nice little Mars bar, and it was good. But then they decided to add nuts into that Mars bar, and then they added marshmallow, and then there's nougat. Then all of a sudden you've got this like massive trifle of a Mars bar that you really don't enjoy anymore, but you buy it out of habit because you did like it. Origins changed that. They turned it into, I don't know, use your chocolate bar of choice. But Origins fixed that because they changed it. But unfortunately, Odyssey started layering more nougat and marshmallow on the chocolate bar. And here we are with Valhalla. And then the live service that's coming soon.
Did Origins have the mythical stuff going on in it? Like the way that Odyssey had the, you're fighting Medusa and whatnot?
Look, it
It's in the
kind of did.
DLC. It's in the DLC. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, look, there's always a supernatural element to it, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
really explain the whole otherworldly, ethereal plane, the requiescat in pace bit where you kind of disembody yourself and have a chat
Yeah.
with the person you just stabbed. Not so much of that stuff in the original game, though.
Okay.
But because the whole Egyptian aspect of it, the way that their civilization was integrated with the gods was quite far drawn, whereas the Greek parable that you'd hear about in the Odyssey is very easy to put in there, like the Medusa or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
The Greeks had a better conceptualization and visualization of that stuff, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, person with snakes for hair, it's pretty. It hooks you.
Visual.
Yeah.
I may be getting into a different podcast here, though.
Yeah.
But when I
Alright.
first found that Odyssey had like all that stuff going on in it, I at first was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna like that in this game. But it actually ended up being one of my favorite parts of the game, those aspects. And I kind of liked how they kind of had them off on the side so that like you could go off and do them, but they didn't necessarily. When you're fighting like the Minotaur and stuff, like they kind of felt like side, they're like side things.
Mm.
And I actually ended up liking it. But so does Valhalla have that kind of stuff?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the supernatural stuff for the Norse myths
It's in the DLC.
It just seems like they just keep all that stuff to the DLC, which is probably a smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is still, the main character sees Odin.
Oh, okay.
They talk about the gods in different ways in the Norse mythology than they do in other ones. Maybe that's all I'm thinking of. I like to be too specific and detailed with my answers to that stuff. Stick to the DLC for it, I think is probably the answer.
Just the DLC. All right. So I guess it's my turn for what I've been playing. I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little strapped on time this week for what I could play and what I couldn't play. But Matt, I was telling you about the Mega Man Zero ZX collection. I know the Mega Man collection is a little tough for you, but for the most part, I gotta say that I really like.
It's not tough for me. I just haven't played much.
Okay, we'll play more, but but I mean, for the most part, yeah. So I went a little retro this week, and the Mega Man Zero games are really good. I played Mega Man Zero a while back. I made it to the final boss. I couldn't beat the final boss, but for the most part, I really like the game design and definitely like a lot of the moves with the game. I mean, I hate to maybe low key. It might be like one of the more fun Mega Man games I ever played. Aside from the original series, and I mean, I do like the X series also, but I mean, I'm really having fun with this one. It's different from the other two, definitely a lot different. And I started Mega Man 02, and I kind of want to just jump into all these games at least one time, because I'm getting like a different vibe when I play them. So if you haven't picked up the Mega Man 0/ZX collection, definitely pick it up. I believe it's on all platforms, and if you like Mega Man back in the day, I mean, if you missed out on these, because I know all these games were on the handheld for the most part, the Game Boy Advance and DS, I believe. So definitely give it a go. So I mean, you can play, like with the screen casual mode or hardcore mode. It also has a save assist points also. So I mean, it can feel like a casual experience, and you don't really have to grind. If that makes sense, and because I know like with a lot of Mega Man games, you do gotta grind through. So I mean, that's one of the things I've been playing. Maybe I'll even play it before I knock out a little later on. And then another game I played was the Ninja Warriors for the Super Nintendo. It was a beat 'em up. I was watching some retro games on beat 'em ups, and this came up. This was a little interesting. I know they remade it for. I think it came on the Switch as the Ninja Saviors Return of the Warriors, but it's a nice game back in the day. Just beat them up. It's relatively easy, but it is a bit of a grind. You got to be real good at it because once you die, you pretty much just got to start at the beginning of the level again. But for the most part, most of the bad guys are easy to get through. I've only made it to like the end of the second level, and
Is that like
I
a
made
game
it
you want to
slow.
play with save states?
Yeah, it's a game you want to play with save states or just like with infinite lives, just drink a beer, chill. I mean, it's been that kind of week for me, so it's just been like I just kind of been wanting to relax when been playing my games for the most part. So, I mean, I'll definitely try to get some video footage for you guys on that one, and then I might get the newer one later on if I really like it. Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warriors, but yeah, Ninja Warriors, SNES. Check it out, guys. It's a hidden gem of the Super Nintendo.
Is
All
that
right.
on? Do you know if that's on the Switch online?
I know the Ninja Saviors Return of the Warriors is, so it
Oh,
was like a
okay.
remake. So they kind of did the same thing with another game called what was it, Wild Guns and Wild Guns Reloaded.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you remember those games, they kind of did the same thing with that one, just kind of like did like reissue or just with different elements, I guess you could say. So I've just been at a little bit of a retro kick. I want to get into Deep Rock Galactic, but I mean, hopefully
Yeah,
Ted
That
and I
is an
should.
amazing game.
Yeah, Ted
I've
and I
heard
want
good
to start.
things.
Yeah, Ted and I want to start playing that this week. So hopefully we'll let you guys know in the Discord when we start playing it. Hopefully could be as soon as tomorrow. I mean, I just got to hook up with him, see what his schedule's looking like. But we definitely do want to stream it and do some co-op, or because we both want to play it on Xbox Games Pass. So that's what I do want to get into. Hopefully, when I share with what I'm playing next week, it's a little bit different. But
It's
you'll
also
have to
the
wait and
PlayStation
see.
Plus free game this
Yeah,
month.
I announced that last week. So yeah, that's
Oh,
what got me interested to it. Like, oh, yeah, this looks really cool, actually. So yeah, it looks really good. So I do want to. That's the game I do want to get into. But once again, we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, it's been about 2 hours. Gonna wrap it up. So it's been fun. It's always great to do this podcast with you guys.
yeah.
So for for Logan, for Ryan, and for Matt, the teacher, or the teacher Matt. This is Justin
Yep.
Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool. And we just want to thank you for watching or listening to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. Once again, just be sure to check us out on our platforms. Be sure to follow us. And we will catch you on the next one. Later.
Thanks for having me.
Adios.